Hello friends, Namaskar, this is Sanjay. If you are preparing for the upcoming CTET examination, one word that you will frequently get to hear is normalization. So this can refer to the normalization of the results or normalization of the CTET marks. So in this video, I will try to clarify what is normalization, why is it done, how is it done, and how will it affect you. So let's get started. Let me start with the history of CTET normalization. The CTET examination was first conducted in 2011, and from 2011 all the way till December of 2021, the CTET was a pen and paper based old pattern exam. You would get a printed question paper and you would get an optical mark recognition sheet, that is a OMR sheet, in which you had to shade and select the answers. From December 2021 onwards, CTET became a CBT mode exam, that is a computer based testing mode exam. So, which means that before December 2021, you had to go to a normal test center, and there would be a large number of test centers that would be spread across the country. So, you would go sit in any of the centers and take the exam, and the exam would be conducted usually in one session. Whereas from December 2021 onwards, because it became a CBT based exam, you had to go to these labs or to these testing centers which had computers on which you need to take the exam. So which means that you would no longer get a printed question paper. You would get to see the questions on the screen and you had to select the answer here. Now because there is a limited number of such testing centers that are available, the exam had to be conducted over multiple sessions. Because if you look at all the exams that are conducted before December 2021, you will see that they were held in one session. So you will find one version of the question paper. Whereas December 2021 examination had 23 different versions of paper 1 itself, because the exam was conducted over a period of 23 different days. So before 2021, there was no need for any sort of normalization. But after December 2021, normalization became very, very important, and that is when it was introduced by CBSE. So in December of 2021, CBSE released a notification just a few days before the examination that they will be using the normalization process before declaring the results for that particular exam. So this caused quite a bit of a confusion around how will this normalization process work, how will it affect students, and is there any way to beat this process or prepare well for the exam with the normalization process in mind. And there were quite a few explanations that were given. There were some videos that were made. Some were correct, some were wrong. But there was quite a bit of an apprehension around this entire normalization process. But in any case, this year there should be less confusion, because we have already seen the effect of normalization in the previous exam. So this year there will be less confusion with regards to this normalization process. So now let us understand, why is this normalization required in the first place. Let us take the example of an exam like CTET, where the maximum marks are 120. And this happens to be a CBT based exam, and because there is a shortage of examination centers, this exam is conducted over a period of 3 different days. And the pass marks for this exam are 90. So now on day 1, a very good friend of ours goes to take this exam. And he finds that 50% of the questions are easy and 50% of the questions are difficult. And this person scores 90 marks out of 120. And on day 2, another friend of ours goes to take the exam, and he sees that only 4 questions are difficult and the remaining questions are very easy. This person is very happy. He scores 100 marks. And on day 3, another friend of ours goes to take the exam, and when he goes and he sees the paper, he sees that a number of questions are very difficult and there are only 4 easy questions, and with great difficulty he manages to score only 80 marks. Now because the pass marks in this exam is 90, the first person who has taken the exam has passed. The second person who took the exam also passed, but the third person did not pass because he scored only 80 and the passing marks are 90. Now, is this a correct picture of the capability of the students or the capability of these candidates? Because if we assume that all the 3 candidates are of equal caliber and they put in the same effort in preparing for the exam, then the first person scored 90, which might be correct. The second person scored 100 only because probably the paper was easy. Right? Whereas the third person, who is of the same caliber and the same capability as person 1 and person 2, this person scores less marks because the paper was difficult. Right? So he did not pass the exam. So now, to make sure that this sort of a irregularity doesn't occur, and to make sure that we balance the performance of these three different candidates, that is where normalization is used. So normalization is a statistical process, and there are many approaches that can be used for this normalization. Now the exact process or the exact statistical method that is used for normalization depends on what is the purpose of the exam. For example, for any multi-session exam where normalization is used, the exact formula or the exact process that is used for normalization may depend on what type of exam is it. Is it a selection exam or is it a qualification exam? Because in a selection exam, marks don't matter, rank matters. In an exam like IIT JEE or CUET, your admission to the colleges happens on the basis of your rank. Right? So all the candidates are ranked. Therefore, the exact normalization formula that is used for selection exams like IIT JEE or CUET will be different as compared to qualification exams. In a qualification exam like CTET or UGC NET, marks are important because there is a particular level. For example, it might be 60%. So all candidates below 60% are not qualified. All candidates above 60% are qualified. Therefore, here the objective is not to rank the candidate, but to give them a qualified or a not qualified status based on their marks. So here for CTET and UGC NET, the exact approach that is used or the exact formula that is used for normalization will be different. I will not go too much into the exact process or the exact formula that is going to be used for normalization in CTET because frankly that is not important. Whichever formula they use, we know that normalization will be done. Right? If you still want to understand it a little more, you can pause the video here and read this formula that has been published by the government of Andhra Pradesh, and this formula was used for normalizing the marks in the recently conducted APTET, that is the Andhra Pradesh Teachers Eligibility Test Examination. So similarly, if you want to know more about the type of formulas or process used by NTA for the exams that they conduct, then this is the explanation for the process that is used in the UGC NET examination. Right? And they have also published documents about the normalization that is done for other examinations like the IIT JEE. So you'll find plenty of formulas, plenty of approaches. But to be frank, you don't need to be concerned about the exact methodology that is going to be used. So to understand this normalization process a little more, let us extend the example that we were discussing a little while ago. Right? So now this exam was conducted over 3 days, day 1, day 2 and day 3. And day 3 question paper was more difficult because there were more number of difficult questions. Day 1 was a little less difficult and day 2 was the easiest question paper with the least number of difficult questions. And our friends who took this exam scored 90 marks, 100 marks and 80 marks. So now we have to normalize the marks of these three different candidates. Now NTA already knows the difficulty level of each question because all that they need to do is after the exam they pull a report which shows how many candidates managed to answer a specific question correctly. So if more number of candidates are answering a question correctly, then that question must be easy, right? And if more number of candidates are taking a lot of time to answer a particular question, that question might be difficult. Or if there is a question which very few candidates have managed to answer, right, then that question must be very difficult. So that way they have reports which can tell them what is the difficulty level of each question. So now if they assign a difficulty range for each question or a difficulty number or a difficulty rating for each question, then they can aggregate that, add that or average that, and they can arrive at a difficulty rating for the entire question paper. For example, after doing the analysis of all the questions on day 2, if we arrive at a conclusion that let us take day 2 as 1, that is we assign difficulty level 1 to this question paper, which means that day 1 question paper, which is more difficult than day 2, right, this is given a higher difficulty rating. So this can be 1.1. Whereas day 3 question paper, which has the maximum number of difficult questions, let us give it a higher difficulty rating of 1.3. So now if we multiply this 90 and 1.1, we will get 99. If we multiply 100 into 1, we'll get 100, and 80 into 1.3, we get 104. So now after normalization, this would be the marks of each of these candidates. You can see that the marks have not reduced, right? However, the marks of the two candidates who attempted the more difficult question papers has increased. Now, this candidate who scored only 90 in raw scores, right? After normalization, you can see that these two candidates are almost at an equal level. And the candidate who actually failed because he scored only 80 marks and did not reach 90 has actually managed to score more marks than his other two friends after normalization. So this is how normalization can affect the marks of the candidate depending on the type of formula and the type of approach that is used. So this is not the exact process that is going to be used in CTET. I'm just giving you a simple example so that you understand how it works. So coming to the most important question of all, will my marks increase or decrease after this normalization process is done? Well, in an ideal scenario, there will be no decrease in the marks for any candidate, because after normalization, the marks of some of the candidates may increase, but there should not be any decrease in the marks for any candidates, because from what I've seen in 2021, there has been only an increase in the marks for some candidates. Not all candidates, only some candidates. Whereas I've not heard of anybody complaining that their marks have decreased after normalization. Therefore, you can probably see an increase if you have attempted a difficult question paper. If you have attempted an easy question paper, then you might not see any change in your marks, and there should not be any decrease whatsoever. So is this normalization process absolutely essential? Can't it be avoided? Well, eventually it can be avoided, because CBSE and NTA use a database of questions to conduct this examination. So once they have conducted the examination in the CBT mode over multiple sessions or multiple years, we can see that the same questions keep getting repeated year on year, or similar questions, which means that eventually NTA and CBSE will have enough data to show which questions are difficult and which questions are easy. For example, if most of the candidates are able to answer a specific question, then that has to be easy, and an appropriate weightage or difficulty grade is assigned to such questions. And if very few candidates are able to answer a specific question, then this has to be a difficult question, and a higher weightage or a higher difficulty rating is given to such questions. So eventually, when they have enough data and they are programming the system to generate question papers for the upcoming examination, then they can program it in such a way that the system will automatically take equal number of difficult questions and equal number of easy questions for every question paper, which means that the question papers for day 1, day 2, day 3 will be balanced. Even if the questions are different in all these question papers, because of the rating that is assigned to each of the questions, the difficulty level of the entire question paper will be balanced. So till NTA or CBSE have enough data and they can do away with this normalization process, till then they will use normalization before they release the result. Now, let me also answer one more very important question. Do you have to change your preparation strategy, or do you have to approach the paper in a different way because of this normalization? The answer is no. You should prepare in the same way that you are preparing now. And the only thing that will happen is your marks might not be same as what you see in your answer sheet, because the marks that you finally get may be after normalization, so they might change. But when it comes to your preparation strategy and your preparation style and the way that you approach this entire paper, nothing will change either with normalization or without normalization. So don't worry about this normalization, just prepare well for the upcoming examination. And with that, we come to the end of this video. I hope I have been able to clarify some of your doubts on the normalization process and how it will and will not affect you. So I will see you again very soon in the next video, where we will discuss some more interesting topics about the CTET examination. And before you go, a wise old man said that if you put a comment under this video, you'll get 10 additional marks in your CTET examination. If you like this video, then you'll get 10 more marks. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get 10 more marks. And if you share this video with your friends, then you'll get another 10 marks. And if you do all of these, then you will surely pass your CTET examination. Well, don't believe it. Well, even I don't, but what's the harm in trying? Right? So take care and stay safe, and I will see you soon.